Boltgun. Today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how to paint Orc flesh. It's the second in the series with a few more to come. If you'd like to support me, my Ko-fi and Patreon pages are linked below. Now onto the video. So this is the Orc skin that we're going to be working on during this video. It's one of the Morannon Orcs from the Pelennor Fields box. We're going to start off by using Citadel Morghast bone. We're going to give the skin a quick coat of Morghast bone. Next we're going to be using some Citadel Athonian Camoshade. We're just going to give all of the skin a quick wash of this. Now we're going to reapply some Morghast brown to the miniature. Now what we want to think of here is where those darker patches of shade are, where you've got like that sunken cheek just above the brow, where the temples are, behind the ears, those kind of areas. You don't want to be adding any of the Morghast brown back to those areas. You want to be leaving those and sort of working around it so you've still got those darker shades to show where the recesses are, and leaving any of the recesses sort of around the nose or the mouth and the chin. So you want to be catching the areas where light will be catching, so the top of that scalp there, the top of the ears, top of the cheekbone, those kinds of places. And then you're obviously going to have bits from the jaw of the Orc too, around the back of its scalp, and then the bottom of that jawline. I always sort of like feather that up into the bottom of that shaded area of the sunken cheek. Now we're going to mix in a little bit of Citadel Deepkin flesh. That's just to lighten up the Morghast brown, but also give it a little bit of a blue tint from that Deepkin flesh. And we're just going to pick out the details once again. I'm using a thinner brush here. Frustratingly, it's slightly off camera some of this section, so apologies for that. All I'm doing is I'm picking out all of the details, so putting a highlight on the top of the cheeks, on the top of the eyebrows there. Then you've also got some detailing on the forehead, so you can do some horizontal lines on that and pick out the horizontal lines that you may have done with the previous layer, just to give that brow a bit of a wrinkle. You also want to pick out the edge of the jawbone around the top of the scalp, and sort of any little details that might be on there. It's got quite a few little sort of nicks and cuts by the look of it on the scalp, or it's just not moulded very smoothly, I can't really tell, but it looks good as detail. So around the back there I'm leaving a few little shaded bits and bits in the previous colour where it looks like he's maybe had a knock to the head. We are now going to use a little bit of Citadel Carroburg Crimson to do some quick and easy shading around the eyes and also to colour that mouth. I'm going to use a thin brush to do a little horizontal line of this in the groove where his mouth is, and that will just give it that deep red as though he's got his mouth ever so slightly open. And then put a little spot of that around each eye too, just to darken and sinken them a little bit, giving those sunken looking eyes. Now if you wanted to shade the lips and give them a little bit of a red tint, you can use Vallejo Red Wash, which is really good for doing that. It'll give it a nice sort of like pinkish hue without getting rid of the Morghast brown type colour completely. I'm going to use a tiny little spot of white to do the eyes here. This isn't really related to the skin, but it's part of the face, so I figured to do it anyway. To use a little bit of white, drag the brush away from the nose so you don't get that little spot of white on the bridge of the nose. And then once you've done this, we can move on to the pupil. Now we're going to go on to Vallejo Black and just put two little spots of black, one in each eye. Finally, we're going to use Citadel Ushabti bone. We're going to use this to just do his teeth. Now, if you don't have a Ushabti bone, you could just use a little bit of white or mix a little bit of white with that Morghast bone colour. You'll be able to do those teeth very carefully, and I'll just break up that lower section of the face a little bit with the mouth. That's the Orc Skin finished. Easy to mass produce and do in large numbers at once, and it gets them looking great on the tabletop. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you have, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future content. Also, think about subscribing to our other social media, linked below. Thanks very much. If you like the channel and you enjoy the content and you'd like to support me, my Ko-fi and Patreon pages are linked below. Thanks very much.